The Magic Mat and Three Good Friends. Once upon a time, in a forest surrounded by deep waters, lived a crow, a turtle, and a deer. They were good friends. Every day, they met on the green lawns near a lake, ate together and played happily. One day, the deer said to the crow, "Dear friend, I see a green island at a distance, in the deep waters. You fly over the island several times. Please tell us what wonders it has to show." Crow replied, "My friends, that is a deep and dense forest, with many waterfalls, valleys, animals, and delicious fruit-bearing trees. There are many plants and creepers with colorful and fragrant flowers. They are very cool and pleasing to the eyes." The deer said, "It is unfortunate that our friend Turtle and I cannot visit the island and enjoy ourselves," and looked at the turtle. The turtle said, "Yes, I understand, but I know a great sage, who lives in the forest. He has a magic mat, that can fly. I saw him many times hovering in the sky, on the magic mat. If we can borrow his mat, we can sit on it, and travel merrily anywhere we like." The crow and the deer said, "How wonderful would it be, to fly on the magic mat! All of us will go to the sage, and request him to lend us the magic mat." Then the three friends set out to the sage's home in the forest. As it was a long distance away, the turtle sat on the back of the deer. They soon reached the sage, and found the sage meditating. The trio waited silently for a while. When the sage opened eyes, the three of them said, "We came to pay our respects to you, oh generous sage. May we request your help?" The sage said, "Be happy, my good friends. How can I help you?" Then the trio asked, "Would you be kind enough to lend us your magic mat? For a long time, we had a desire to visit the nearby island, and enjoy its beauty." The sage thought, these three seem to be good-natured and harmless. "Maybe I can lend the magic mat to them for a while," and said, "I am pleased to lend you the mat, but only you three should use it, and you should never leave it alone." And the sage rolled the mat and gave it to the deer. The trio was happy. They thanked the sage and returned to their homes. The next day, the three of them spread the magic mat and sat on it. The mat said, "Where do we go?" The crow said, "Thank you. Over the island to the east." The magic mat began to fly in the sky towards the island. The deer and the turtle were happily enjoying flying in the skies, admiring the beauty of the waters, hills, and meadows below. The crow's sharp eyes were looking down for a place to land as the island was approaching. "Please stop and go down," the crow said to the magic mat. The magic mat slowly descended on a mound in the forest. The deer rolled up the magic mat, and started walking, admiring the natural beauty, while the crow and the turtle sat on its back. They spread the magic mat under a fruit tree near a pond. The deer drank water in the pond, and began grazing tender grass, and the turtle went swimming in the waters. The crow flew to the top of a fruit tree, plucked many ripened fruits, and returned to the magic mat. They enjoyed the delicious fruits seated on the magic mat. Then the crow said to the magic mat, "Will you please fly us over the trees across the forest, so we can see its wonders?" The magic mat took off from the ground, moved slowly over the trees, took them to the beautiful waterfall, and landed. The three played in the water for some time, and then the mat took them to a flower garden, where many colorful and sweet-smelling flowers blossomed. The crow plucked some beautiful flowers and kept them safely wrapped in a big green leaf. Then the mat took them to a deep valley, with large trees and dancing streams. The crow found a honeycomb hanging from a tree, from which sweet honey was dripping. It gathered the honey drops in a big green leaf, and served its friends. Then, they flew back to the mound, near the pond, and rested on the mat. They did not know that a jackal and a fox were watching them from behind a bush. The turtle entered the pond again, while the crow and the deer were seated on the mat. Suddenly, they heard a thunderous roar of a lion. The crow flew away, the deer ran towards a thick bush in fear, the turtle plunged into the deep water. The jackal and the fox also fled the scene, as the lion was approaching. The magic mat lay alone on the ground, with the flowers wrapped within the leaf. The lion approached the mat, and sensed that a deer was around. The crow was watching the lion from the treetop and thought. The sage said not to leave the magic mat alone, what could happen now? The lion circled the colorful magic mat, smelled it and sat on the magic mat and looked around. It spoke loudly. I don't see anybody nearby. If I could go to the valley, I may get plenty of food, but I am tired and hungry. How could I walk such a long distance? When the magic mat heard the lion, it suddenly took off with the lion, to the valley. The bewildered lion could not jump from the magic mat, for fear of losing its life. As soon the crow saw the magic mat flying with the lion, it quickly followed it. The magic mat landed on the valley, where several animals were roaming. The lion forgot about the magic mat, and began chasing the animals. Then the crow flew down to the mat and said, "Dear magic mat, please take me to the pond where my friends are waiting." When the magic mat reached the pond, the crow shouted, "My dear friends, please come to the magic mat quickly, we have to leave this place at once." The deer saw the crow seated on the mat, and turtle hurriedly crawling towards it. When the three sat on the magic mat, the crow asked it to return to the sage in the forest. The deer and the turtle praised the wise crow for saving their lives. The mat took them safely to the sage, who was resting in the shade of a tree. The deer rolled the magic mat. The crow said to the sage, "Please accept these flowers, O respectable sage. We had an enjoyable trip to the nearby forest, although we faced some problems, because of our foolishness." Then it turned to the magic mat and said, "We are grateful to you, magic mat, for our enjoyable journey. But for you, we would have been lost in the forest." The sage took the mat and the flowers. He had divine powers, and knew what happened in the forest. He then said, "Dear friends, I am happy you all enjoyed the journey and returned safely. But, remember that the grass is always greener on the other side. We should learn to be happier with what we have. I made this forest my home because there are no cruel animals here." Then the trio thanked the sage again for his help, returned to their homes, and lived happily ever after. Dear children, did you like the story?